Hi there, Linda Schiller, Hannah, back with you on segment 78 of Inner Kid Keto. Today's topic is about marriage, divorce, and things related. Broken relationships, heartbreak, all that stuff. How many of us have crawled into the food when our love life didn't go the way we wanted? More than once? 1,000 times? Whatever. I got this little classic couple representing an old-fashioned happy marriage. The thing is, in the days, in the 1800s or 1600s or 1200s, when people got married back then, often they didn't live till past 40. I mean, those marriages maybe started at 17, but maybe only lasted 20 years. Today, with all the longevity and the transformation and all the opportunities we have to come and go and meet new people, staying together a long time may be a harder thing to pull off. I have had 2 divorces, but you know what my guides call them? Discoveries. I myself have had 2 divorces. No, discoveries. That's what they said in my ears. And truly, I believe that marriage is a contract between 2 people. It's a soul contract. It's a legal contract. But more than anything, it's a karmic contract. You meet someone who's so intriguing, so significant that you can't get away from each other. You get attracted to each other and you have soul work to do, soul business to do. I often say if there's a bad marriage when there are children involved, the kids set it up. They said, I want you for my mommy, you for my daddy, and you get co-opted. Take it or leave it. And there's some real crummy situations where the parents are stuck with a bunch of kids and the kids just said, we got you, we got you. And especially if there's religious and other pressures, family pressures to stay together because of the kids, OMG, I'm sure some of you are going, yeah, we can relate to that. I'm not saying divorce is easy. It is not easy. And neither is marriage. But going through life without a partner also is hard because I've done it all. I've tried them all those different things. I'm going to tell you probably about 20 years ago. Steve and I are going on 29 years now. But probably about 20 years ago, we went through kind of a rough patch. And I was so concerned. He was kind of going through his midlife crisis, having to buy 3 red sports cars or something the same year. You get the thing. And he wanted to move out and find himself. And I said, I did 2 things. The first thing I did is I painted this picture. Of me and him with one heart. And this was an affirmation that we're together, that we love each other. And I just put it on the wall as an affirmation of what I wanted and what I believed about us. Anybody wants a copy of this, it's on our little website for $3. We got a postcard of it. But when he wanted to move out, I realized he really needed to stretch. And rather than lose him, because I didn't want to lose him, I said, you know what? That's probably a good idea. I'll go help you find a place. We found a place for rent, a little village not far from where we live. Went in with the realtor, looked around. He said, yeah, you need a break from me. This would be good. You have your own place. Go for it. And after about 20 minutes, he says, I don't want to leave. I said, okay, come on home. Had I pressed hard and said, don't go no matter what, he might have been forced to leave just to prove that he could do it. Sometimes non-resistance is a good answer. I think the Bible says if a man demands of you your coat, give him your cloak also, like non-resist. It's a wonderful system. You might consider it if you're going through something like that. Now, I have lots of thoughts on the divorce thing, and I'm going to just kind of bounce around. When I was 9, my parents divorced, and at the time we had a pet monkey. And the monkey lived in a little cage down in the living room and spent all its time in that cage, except for when we had it out playing with us a little bit. But basically, it slept every night in the cage. No questions asked. But the night my dad moved out, my mom was so upset, and I don't blame her. I went and got the little monkey and brought it into bed with me. And here is little Linda with her little monkey. Our monkey's name was Tumbelina. It was a little squirrel monkey. And I felt so comforted to have that warm little body next to me as I was going through this frightful change in our lives. So that's why little Linda's got the monkey today. Monkeys are kind of an unusual pet, but I really love my little monkey. What else do I want to say about that? When we're going through any unwanted change, maybe he wants out or she wants out and you don't, or you want out and they don't want out. If it's an uneven moment, sometimes both want out, and that makes it easier in some ways because you can kind of agree on things. But if one wants to leave and the other doesn't, that's extremely painful, particularly for the one that's being left behind. It's kind of challenging for the one leaving too. I'm not going to tell you that isn't. But it's going to stir up emotions. I know when I was unhappy in my first marriage, I think for 6 months I fantasized my new place, how I'd decorate it, where I'd live, what it'd be like, how I'd get there. And the bottom line, I did it very suddenly on a whim and was out the door in 24 hours once I made the decision. And I'm sure it was painful for him to do it that way. Kubler-Ross talked about death. She says, if you want it easy for you, go fast. If you want it easy for your family, go slow. Gives them time to adjust. Any kind of loss that's sudden and shocking will create a lot of turmoil, grief, trauma, upset. Thousands and thousands of people are losing their jobs right now in our country. Sudden, especially good government jobs. A lot of people are in real trauma of something that they thought was secure. Their identity was wrapped up in, their financial security was wrapped up in, and all of a sudden they're going, OMG, what's this about? Yeah, what is this about? It's an opportunity to grow, if nothing else. Another fortunate growth opportunity, an FGO. Another fortunate growth opportunity. If it's extremely painful, lean in, hug it, connect to it. If you suddenly lost your job and you had a career, maybe it's time to look at a new career. Maybe it's time for you to branch out and do that business you always wanted or start that creative endeavor. Maybe it's time to rethink what your life really is anyway. Maybe you don't want to be a bean counter anymore. Maybe something else is coming up. And I'm not saying people who lose jobs are bean counters. I worked for the government for a while, and I felt like a lot of my work was routine, paperwork, put things in files. Of course, I was a low-level client, a low-level worker. But if you think you want to retool your career, you might read the book, What Color is Your Parachute by Bowles, Bolles. It's in every library. My little sister turned me on to this, Teresa. One of the best things she ever did was teach me to get that book. You have to write your answers. You can't just skim it. You've got to, it's a workbook, but it will it will clarify your life path, your career path if you do that. Now, a lot of changes can cause grief, trauma, depression, Maybe you have a major accident, or you have a serious illness, or someone close to you died and you're just grief-stricken, or you suddenly have an abrupt move. Something came up and you suddenly have to move cross country or leave your family and you've never been away. There's so many things. Or maybe you get drafted and you go off to war, or you get fired. Any unwanted change is going to force us to grow. If you can lean into it and say, how can I use this? When my guys say divorce is a discovery, any of these traumatic things can be a discovery, but you got to put on your discovery lens. It's okay to spend time to cry, boo-hoo, poor me, I'm a loser. Not really. You're in growth. It's another growth opportunity. I really think that Earth is a big laboratory, a big school. I've talked about Earth School before. And I also think it's a faith school. If everything's smooth and easy, you may not learn to have any faith at all in yourself or in a higher power or in another human being. If it's too darn easy, no growth. Some of us said, I want more growth, more growth, more growth, more growth. Maybe you're on a really high growth path. The folks I know who are watching this program, 100% of them are on a growth path. I don't bring in the kids who want to play tiddlywinks and watch Porky Pig. My channel attracts brilliant, thoughtful, transforming, spiritually wise, creative, intelligent souls who are really doing their inner work. I'm talking about you. If you're sitting here, you're special. I'm not just trying to blow smoke. The feedback I get from everyone who's watching, people I know who are watching, a cut above. Now, I've learned a lot from movies. I'm going to recommend some movies about relationships that I thought were particularly useful. One is Kramer versus Kramer. It's an old movie with Meryl Streep and Dustin Hoffman, and they're going through divorce. And I'm going to sneeze. Sneeze on the truth, we always say. Thank you. The most memorable scene is at the very end of the film when they asked Dustin Hoffman, was Meryl Streep a good mother? And he pauses and he says, yes, she was a good mother. It's so moving. It's 2 sneezes. What is a good night? Okay. Another movie that stars Emma Thompson is Love Actually. It's a Christmas movie and it's kind of raunchy. It's got some kind of just raunchy. I'll just leave it at that scenes. But the scenes at the holiday time with Emma Thompson and her husband are so touching. They're worth the price of admission. There's lots of fun stuff in it too. There's a lot of comedy in it too. If you've never seen Love Actually, highly recommend. And especially for older women. I don't know if the men would like this, but the women, the older women, single or married, I'm going to strongly recommend Emma Thompson again, and Good Luck to You, Leo Grande. It's about the intimate life of an older woman, and it really says a lot. Any loving husband who cares about his wife should probably see that movie, because it explores the emotional nature of a woman in the bedroom better than anything I've ever seen. So you might consider that. One of the best things you can do in any traumatic situation is ask, how can I use this? What strength am I developing here? What can I embrace? What can I lean into? What is it I'm missing? I've mentioned this before, but I used to get broken up with a lot in my dating years. And I learned to ask at the end, like exit interview, what did I do wrong? What could I do to improve the next time? One guy says, use me as a therapist. Guilty. Too needy. Guilty. Different, lots of things. Help me grow and work on the issues that were undermining a healthy relationship. A lot of times I didn't have a good relationship with myself. The more I heal me, the better my chances are in being in a healthy relationship. If you're going through a tough patch, if you're going through a relationship crisis, lean into taking care of yourself, figuring out who you are and what you really need and what you want. I was married 7 years the first time, about 1.5 years the second time, and I had about a 20-year single spell before I found my husband, Steve, other than a few relationships along the way. And I probably did most of my growth during those single years. Don't think that just because you're single, it's not significant. I did used to get very upset with my grandmother when, Christmas after Christmas, I'd go home and she says, well, how come you aren't married? And like I could just pick somebody off a tree. It used to drive me nuts. She did finally get to meet my husband, Steve, before she passed. It was a good thing. What strengths could surface in the face of this challenge? If you're going through a job change, a divorce, I tell you, this is itchy, a move, kids going off to college, getting married, empty nest, somebody your partner just passed, you suddenly have a health crisis, suddenly in a wheelchair and you walked all your life. These are huge traumas. I'm not belittling them at all. We could be big them, but I'm not belittling them. Lean in. Figure out the gift in it. There's an old joke, and you're sure most of you have heard it, where the little boy's in a stable and there's so much manure. He says, there's so much manure here, there's got to be a horse here somewhere. There will always be a horse in your pile of manure if you find it, if you look for it. Sometimes just slowing down, being by yourself, may open up your inner poet or your inner musician. Or you may learn to master meditation or study Buddhism. There are so many ways we can explore in this lifetime. I don't know if anything I've said is helpful, but my heart goes out to each and every one of you going through any kind of shocking change. Do consider learning to meditate. Do consider getting some counseling. Do consider not crawling into the food as a solution, because it's usually a backslide. And do know that I care, and a lot of others do too. And for gosh sakes, don't isolate. So be willing to do whatever it takes to make a change. Maybe the most important thing you get to be willing to do is love yourself. And if a person has been abusive to you, or they're a narcissist, I can email me at linda@lightworker22 or go in the comments and I can give you some links to some very wise YouTube videos on those kind of issues. All right. I've kind of been all over the place, but that's typical of me. Something for you, hopefully something for you. I'm doing this Friday night kind of late. Hope you have a great weekend, but I will see anyone who wants to show up tomorrow because we're doing 7 days a week. Thanks a lot. God bless you and have a good night.